Hello, I'm Angie from teacheslanywhere.com, and I'm here today with Ben Rue. I'm so
Hi.
glad that it looks like maybe one person is with us, and I trust more will join us as they see it on the Facebook groups. How are you today, Ben?
Excellent. Thanks for asking. How are you, Angie?
I'm fantastic. I'm really happy that you would be here with us today, Ben, because I know you're super busy working on Koala Go for all of us. And you guys, Ben is the CTO, technical, the
Chief
tech
Technical
chief
Officer, which
technical officer. Thank you. Which
just the tech guy. Call me the tech guy. That works.
he's the head tech guy,
Tech
to be
guy.
clear. Yeah. So from what I know about Ben's background is he had a really nice job working at a high level tech company, something in the vein of like Google or Apple, and he decided to build a platform for us. And so today, I'm guessing that Ben didn't just do that and leave his really nice, comfortable life so that he could build this platform for no reason. So today, we're really here to talk about that because when I first became acquainted with Koala Go, you guys, it was because I was looking for a virtual classroom. Like so many of you, I was looking and looking and looking and looking for a virtual classroom. I was using ClassIn. I was not happy. I was not interested in using Zoom outside of the parents that were still forcing me to. I was trying to get away from that and get into something better. And I found Koala 3D and I started talking with Xavier, which I believe is the CEO. Would that be accurate, Ben?
That is correct. That is
Yeah.
correct.
So Xavier shared with me that, well, I'll just say that Xavier welcomed me like I was a family member in the same way that it felt like that they talked to all of their teachers there. So getting back to the point of this conversation today, uh, I've always felt that there was a heart for teachers at Koala Go, and I really just want to dig into that conversation with Ben and learn why. So if you do watch this on the replay, please say hello and tell us where you're watching from. I'm in Texas today. Where are you, Ben? Do you want to tell us?
I am in San Francisco, California.
Oh, fantastic. And I always do this just because I love a weather report. Here it's getting so hot
Oh,
after a few
really?
cool days of like reprieve. Is it fantastic in San Francisco
It
like it
was
always is?
really hot a couple days ago, and now it's getting a little bit more cloudy and a little bit cooler, which is actually appreciated.
Absolutely. The reprieve has been so good in the heat of Texas. If you know, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Anyway, on the note of Texas, I just feel called to just like send love to folks in South Texas right now.
Absolutely.
So, tell us where you are. Um, and what the weather is like where you're at. A lighter note. All right, so let's go ahead and Ben, please tell me how it is that you left your fantastic job to come and build this for us. Build Koala
Yeah.
3D, which evolved into Koala Go.
Yeah. Well, I'll try to give you the short story. Um, I grew up in a family of teachers. My mom's an English teacher. My dad is a special ed teacher. And I've always felt really strongly about education. I was a mentor. I was a tutor. I taught classes when I was in my 20s, early 20s. And I always loved it. And at some point in my life, I had to pick between being a teacher or being a software engineer. Um, for many different reasons, I decided to become a software engineer. So I went and pursued that. I went all the way. So I graduated. I got a master's degree. I went for on a couple internships at Apple, and that's where I met a lot of friends, including Xavier. By the way,
Okay.
he was also an intern at Apple back in 2011 and continued down that path. So I joined full time. I did 4 years, but there's always been this itch that I needed to scratch. I've always wanted to uh, tie back everything to education in a way. I just so you know, I can't say what I was working on at Apple, but it had nothing to do with education, and I felt like I wanted to contribute in that world. So yeah, after 4 years at Apple, Xavier and I had been talking for a while, and he had similar motivations. He wanted to also do something in education, didn't know what, didn't know how. And we kind of got together and like sat down and decided we were going to do this. We were going to start something. And at the time, we didn't really know what it was going to
Mm.
be.
Yeah. So, like, I just want to interject. What I hear is that you saw the value that your mom brought as a teacher. And going back to what I don't think I said at the beginning of this conversation, but I've said to you previous, is that when I first met Xavier and then coming into the coffee chats, it's clear to me that you guys really see the value of teachers and that you
Absolutely.
want to find a way to reciprocate, so that, or I don't know if reciprocate's the word. You are giving us a super valuable tool to be able to be successful, but in any way, some way that it feels like you want to give that value back to the teachers. So can you talk about that? And by the way,
sure.
we do had, or I said we do had, because I changed my tense in the middle. We do have, and yet I know we did have. I'm not sure. We had a moment ago a couple of people. I just want to say hi to Melody. It's Melody.
Hi, Melody.
She said it's cloudy and 54. Yeah. Anyway,
okay.
Melody's in Wisconsin. Okay. So tell us, what about the value of teachers, and what is Koala Go's goal?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, when we sat down with Xavier before we started Koala, we kind of came to the realization that there's a disconnect between the value that teachers bring to society, which is so incredibly immense. They literally determine the future of the country. I mean, that's undeniable. And we almost felt like the value of teachers is similar or the same level as healthcare workers in a way. Probably in a way also even more important.
Even more, absolutely.
But unfortunately, it feels like they're not compensated at that value. There's this huge disconnect. So we felt like that was a profound unfair situation. And we're directly involved, of course, because on my end, my parents being teachers and making, they don't make a lot of money. Just so you know, like a funny story is when I
taught in the public schools. I know.
Yeah, I know. So when I joined Apple as an intern, I started making more money than both my parents combined after 30 years of experience.
No doubt.
So that felt profoundly unfair. So yeah, Koala was started with that in mind, absolutely. And instead of, there's a lot of platforms out there that position themselves as, we're going to try to take as much money as possible from these tutors, from teachers, and that's going to be our business model. It's going to be about, just like taking making them pay. They're our customers. They're paying for the usage of our product. We're trying to take it in a different direction where we actually see teachers more as partners, and what we want is to give them tools to help them grow their business. And that's why we're kind of starting with independent tutors at the moment, in tutors and teachers, because that's where we see the biggest opportunity, because they have the flexibility of being partners with us. So our motto has always been to empower teachers as much as possible, and really treat them as partners and not as customers or things like that.
That's what I feel. Absolutely. I think that's what all teachers will feel when they come in. So on that note, I think it's an appropriate time to mention that every week there are coffee chats, but beyond the coffee chats, there's always an open line of communication with Koala Go. So where is it? I just want to tell you that you can participate in the creation of Koala Go. So there's a canny link below in the description box so that you can, when you arrive at this link, it will, I think it will be clear. It will just give you an opportunity to add a new or upvote all of the many requests that teachers, the very creative and also experienced teachers, we know what we need in a classroom. So and Ben and Xavier don't necessarily, while they are teaching classes, as I understand, to understand what it's like to teach in the online environment, they don't have as much experience as we do. So they're asking us what it is that we need in this classroom. So go there to Canny at the link in the description box to upvote the ones that you think are really important, and also to, if you've got a creative idea we haven't thought of yet, add it there.
Yeah. So that's how we've been working from the beginning, and I think we've achieved some success with this. It's actually a very interesting relationship that we have with teachers, where teachers are actually almost like the decision makers here. They tell us what they want, and we're the ones, this is what you guys want? Okay, we'll go and build it out.
And Kenny makes that super democratic.
Exactly.
I like that. And you guys are like, just like lobby for your point.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want it, lobby for it. We'll do it when you've got enough upvotes.
And teachers have. I mean,
appreciate
there's
that.
plenty of posts where, hey, you guys should vote for my feature, which
I've
is
done
great.
it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
So on that note, what's the next update? Because my
Yeah.
most favorite update, which, yeah, it upsets some of my students, but you know what? As teachers, we deserve to have control in the classroom. So my most favorite update of late is the control of the pen on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
There is in Classin, when you give a student control, you give them control of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And in Classin, that includes your slides. So they can
Ooh, okay.
advance through your slides, and in mine, they can click through all those animations. Not
Right,
cool.
right. That's not possible in
So
Koala.
in Koala, there's all
Mhm.
these selective permissions that you can get within the browser, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. You want to share
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
about that?
Well, just as a philosophy, Koala we're trying to take Koala to the point where the student doesn't have almost anything to do, and like out of the box, it just works the way that you would want it to work, meaning that, you know, you wouldn't want your student to want to change slides. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
It
So
doesn't.
that's not even an option.
Right.
You don't necessarily want your student to be lost somewhere in your slide or in your whiteboard where you're not seeing the same thing. Like, you should always be seeing the same thing as your student, for example. So that's, we do everything so that's the case. There's no, oh, can you click here to start seeing what I'm seeing or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in general, there should be very few things that a student has to do to be able to follow the class, or almost nothing, apart from clicking join. As soon as they click join, and they have to allow their camera, of course, at that point, they shouldn't have to do anything. And they can do stuff if they want, but it should always be sort of optional and not necessarily to take the class, if that makes sense.
Right, it does.
So,
and I think about those controls about mischief, because I must have the most mischievous students ever. I don't see as many teachers concerned as I am. As you were talking, I was like, oh yeah, there's another kid that was up to mischief who would not allow his camera because he wasn't interested in being seen. So anyhow, there was no tech problem. He just wouldn't allow his camera.
Yeah. It's a bit more tricky, but but everything else should be easy to use and shouldn't require any student intervention.
And so, what are the next updates that are coming, and how do you see them really supporting teachers and what we do?
So at Koala, we have sort of three main, let's say, like, lines of work that we've been sort of expanding on. One is, of course, the classroom, whiteboard, shared browser, all these tools that you actually use to teach your class. And those are, of course, the priority of what we work on. And so there, we're going to have lots of new things, more convenience, ease of use things, improvements of all sorts, like more animations in the whiteboard, video support, improvements on the shared browser. There's a lot coming in that direction. And of course, that's where we hear a lot from you guys, what you guys want. It's usually classroom stuff. The second thing we work on a lot is Playground. And Playground is sort of this small thing right now. It's a tiny little mini game, and you have an avatar, you walk around, you collect seeds. And it uses, a lot of people use it as a brain break or as a reward. And it's convenient because it's integrated in Koala. You click a button, you're directly in Playground. Your student has their own avatar, they can have fun. And there's a time limit, which is great. But we realize that we hear from you guys that you want to use Playground more, also as part of your class, as part of your lesson. And that is telling us that actually what we need to do for Playground is not just make it just a brain break, but give you the tools so that you can build your own world that could be used as part of your lesson, or maybe as part of a game that you want to play with your student.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I feel the need to interject and say that I don't really want to. I mean, well, I'm an ESL teacher, and it's always my intention to get them to talk more. I don't give them a brain break from speaking during that. I'm constantly asking them questions if they're not talking. Some of them are talkers, but I would love to be able to put unicorns and
Yeah.
fun things that one student really loves into the playground. So that makes
Yeah.
that even more exciting for them. So it's an even more exciting brain break. I
Yeah.
love
So
the customization in the playground. I can't wait to see that.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and so that's a big thing we're working on. And then the third thing we're working on is trying to develop more tools to help you run your business.
Mhm.
So, for example, we introduced invoicing a couple months ago, and I think that's been helping a lot of folks. Just having an easier way, not having to set up like a complicated Stripe account or any complicated thing like that. I think we've streamlined it, and we're going to streamline it even more to make it even easier. Um, and there's other tools that we want to build as we go. We're not ready to introduce everything yet, but things like calendar and just management of your classes and of your students, et cetera, et cetera. So I think if we can cover these three fronts in a way and sort of make progress, I think we can really bring something very compelling to you guys.
Hmm. And so we've talked about the fact that you guys are really about supporting teachers, but it's also really clear that you're creating Koala Go to support the learners have the
Yeah,
best,
absolutely.
most quality, fun experience that they can.
Yeah.
Um, can you share more about why that's important to you?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'd like to start by saying that teachers are the most creative people that I've ever personally met. Like, no matter we work with artists, with 3D artists, etc., and of course they're extremely creative. But teachers have this ability to come up with worlds and ideas that really connect with kids in a way that it's actually really hard for us to come up with. So the strategy for us has always been, actually, let's empower teachers to allow them to make these worlds, these games, whatever they do, instead of us trying to directly make something that's fun for kids, like, or that's supposed to connect with kids. And we're not as good as you guys at that. So that's sort of the approach we've been taking. Now, of course, it's easier if we give you tools that are sort of easy to use, that has already pre-made assets. For example, for example, in Playground, we're going to have a library of objects that you can use. We're not going to try to guess, oh, they want, they want just, I don't know, a
We want
bunch of,
unicorns, and I hear
right,
people want
exactly.
llamas. Beyond that, I get it. You
So
don't
my
know.
point is, like, we're going to try to come up with a variety of objects, of items that will allow you to just make your own thing. And we're not going to try to make it for you, if that makes sense. So, yeah. So that's how we kind of tackle this problem is we give the power to the tutors because we trust them to make the things that are actually going to engage their kids. But we also make it easier for them by giving them tools to do so.
Mm-hmm. And so let's talk about this buying a house thing. And I think that this other topic goes hand in hand with it because it's another way you guys are empowering teachers to make money. Creators, you're about to have a big webinar coming up soon that's going to talk specifically to creators and tell us what that even means to be a creator in Koala Go. And then furthermore, I'd love to hear more about, I hear Xavier say all the time, frankly, that it's our intention to help teachers be able to buy a house on their teaching income.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
talk more about all of that marketplace, all the way.
I mean, it's our mission statement is to make teachers more financially successful. That is how we present ourselves. That's how when we think of the company, when we think of what we should be building in the future, that's the lens we see it through. If that makes sense. And that stems from the fact that we feel that it's a profound, unfair situation. Again, like I was saying earlier.
May I just interject one thing about that I was thinking earlier also? I really think that it's a self-imposed limitation a lot of the time still for many teachers, not all teachers. There's certainly some that are also knowing their own value and able to easily ask for that when they're pricing their classes or their tutoring packages. But I think that there's a self-imposed limitation that also is important to address about that topic. But you are telling teachers that it's possible. We see it's possible, and we're here to help you do that. And so I think that supports this mental shift. That's my point.
Absolutely. Now. Well, and I wouldn't say it so much that it is a sort of like a mental block around money or something like that. It's what we've seen ourselves, talking to so many teachers. It's more like it's not necessarily the primary focus. The primary focus is like they're interested in making kids, curious and interested and like just triggering this flame in their minds, and that's what really motivates teachers in the general case.
Would you say? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Yeah, go ahead. So I was going to say like, simply that because that's the primary motivation, sometimes money sort of comes as a secondary thing. It's like when you're so passionate about something, you're like, oh wait, I also need to make money out of this.
Yeah.
But we know that, we understand that, but we still think that in order for that to be sustainable, of course, they need to be able to make money, and not only just make money, but be able to sustain and even potentially buy a house and be successful. And there's no reason why that shouldn't be the case. So we brainstorm a lot. We think about we have a lot of ideas. We have a lot of things that we're doing to actually enable this. And there's 3 things we're doing. One is a lot of tutors out there that are creators. They create amazing content, and they don't have the platform to publish it and to allow other teachers to pay for it. There's a couple of things out there, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of hard to use. It's hard to target the actual people you want.
There is another big one out there.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that I have gone to search for content and left because of it just wasn't engaging the way that the content was presented to me, and it was always clunky to navigate.
Yeah.
So I do like a big picture and a big button to click on, and that's exactly how the marketplace is set up. So it's just really, yeah.
So for those of you that don't know, Koala actually comes with a marketplace of content. A lot of it is free on the marketplace, and just recently we've been allowing teachers to publish their own content at the price that they want, which allows them to, of course, generate passive income, which is the dream of a lot of teachers, which is also my dream. I think everybody.
Absolutely. I'm not a creator, but I do. Yes. Look for passive income.
So that's one way that we allow teachers to make money. Of course, not everybody's a creator. Actually, a small percentage of teachers are creators. A lot of other teachers want to teach and use content to teach, which is totally understandable. So from that front, what we want to do is a lot of times when you're an individual tutor, it's actually really hard to market yourself, to sort of create a brand for yourself and advertise yourself, and just like have people aware of you and your services. And we realize some tutors and teachers create websites, for example, and it's extremely difficult for them because it's not the core of their skills, right? Some teachers, have to navigate the whole invoicing thing, and if you want to teach people, students that are abroad, it's even more complicated. So we think by streamlining all this, making it super easy to advertise yourself, to invoice, to manage, et cetera, we think that brings a lot of value, and it allows you to expand as a tutor to markets that you didn't think were an option before, and that potentially could bring you more revenue.
So I think it's called like Samcart. Does that name sound familiar? It's a marketplace for creators, not education creators, but just a different, anyways, there are marketplaces like this. And also I see the value in them because, of course, you guys are going to be doing the big marketing that then brings them to us because you're doing this grand marketing scheme anyway, anyway. So is it true, or is it in your thoughts to do that same for bringing students to teachers? Because that is a big concern for teachers, and of course that is what fully supports them to be financially successful. Talk more about that. I'd love to hear about that.
It's a good question. We've been thinking about this for a while. I think it's on the roadmap. The reason we don't have it right away is one thing is we already have a lot to work on. We have
you do.
So, that's the first thing. Second thing is we realized that a pretty effective tool that's been helping a lot of teachers being more successful is actually we don't necessarily need to have a marketplace of students, and what actually works is if we give the tools to the tutor to be actually much more competitive compared to other tutors. So for instance, having Playground as a tool, as a tutor, is an extremely powerful retention mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
And it expands word of mouth amongst students. So
Absolutely. Having an
gonna
overall, sorry to interrupt you, but it's important
No.
to state, having an overall quality virtual classroom versus teaching in Zoom
Exactly.
is a big value add when you're courting a parent. It's a huge value add.
So the pattern that we're seeing is a teacher will, let's say, or a parent will book a free class with the teacher as a kind of exploration class.
Mm-hmm.
Teacher uses Koala, and the student just can't believe, is so happy, like, oh wait, what? There's a video game, and there's like animations, and this is so fun. Like they're going to be begging essentially the parent to come back next week. So if you use Koala as your part of your free class, you're pretty much guaranteed to have a new customer, unless they're extremely close-minded, unless the parents don't want to. Like,
there can
some
always
parents
be
are more.
There can always be other limitations, but it's not going to be the classroom if you've used
right.
Koala.
Right. And for the most part, we're seeing that's actually quite a successful strategy, actually. And then once you start getting the ball rolling with them, you can be sure that, like, we keep putting updates to Playground, right? We add new animals, we are going to add new things. You can be sure that kids going to be talking about their class with you, with their friends at school, with their friends, in the neighborhood, whatever. And so, sooner or later, you'll hear from other parents that are going to want to take classes with you. And again, like, this is based on actual data. We've seen teachers actually go through this process and saying thank you to us because they were able to bring more folks just like that. And that's generally how it works, right? Like, you want parents to talk amongst each other, you want kids to talk amongst each other, and you want them to, that's how you kind of want to build your customer base. And I think that's a much more healthy system than if we had a marketplace of tutors where, like, then it becomes a little bit toxic. People have to compete on a marketplace. And I don't know, we're not exactly sure about this idea.
It is an interesting environment. Yeah. I agree. But yeah. I trust, and I'm really not just like, I'm being very honest, that I trust that the way that you guys navigate other things, that you'd make it feel not like a like a fight for students, but also like a place of integrity.
Yeah, we want to avoid that at all costs. We know that there are marketplaces out there that do that, and I feel like we feel pretty we feel that that would be toxic. That it wouldn't be a good environment. So if we're going to do this, we're going to have to do it in we're going to have to rethink it completely. And
I'm going to be very cheesy, because I love it. Koality.
Yeah.
You're going to do it in a very koality way. I'm a dork. Whatever.
No, anyway. It's fine. We've used that one a couple of times, so you're allowed to use it.
I love it. Okay, very good. So I'm definitely someone who is going to be on the marketplace buying things and not creating things. But I would, if I were a creator, I can see that as a really valuable income stream. I see these messages from Melody. Melody, I don't know if you're still watching. You are still watching. Thank you. I was going to say, Melody and Ben, I don't know if you can see these messages because they're not on Facebook. They're in. Okay. But Melody is hanging with us, and she is agreeing with lots of things that I don't know exactly what they were relevant to. I'm sorry, Melody. But
did she ask any question?
She has not asked any questions. Okay. But she says she is here. I am. Melody, you have any questions for us about Koala or for Ben specifically about how? What do you think? I'm curious because I do think there was an amen statement or comment in here. I'm curious to know what the amen was about. I think it might have come up when I was talking about the marketplace for teachers and how that could support financial success. Anyway, Melody, chime in and ask a question if you have one. That is also true for anyone else because I don't see that anyone is here in StreamYard, but Melody is somewhere. So maybe there are others watching. If others have questions, we'd love to hear those as well. Yeah, they must be on YouTube. Although they could be on your Facebook page.
It could be. Absolutely.
Controlling the kids' abilities in class. Amen. I feel you, my friend.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but like it's so rewarding to work with you guys. It's just I love, so I take about, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 calls a day with tutors. And that sounds like a lot, but it's so valuable and it's so fun for me. And I think for the whole team as well. Xavier does the same thing, by the way. Um, so that's the best part of the job is getting to work with you guys.
And so these tutor calls, what kinds of things are you helping them with when you talk to them?
So of course,
Because I've been on
70%.
calls
Yeah.
where Xavier just was like asking me my opinion.
Right. So a lot of calls actually, when it comes to me, of course, is technical stuff,
Uh-huh.
solving issues. Sometimes it's a bug, sometimes it's helping folks with navigating. Oh, there's a problem with my Windows computer, whatever. So a lot of that. But there's a lot of, yes, where we just sit down and we just talk, and we just want to hear what comes naturally to teachers, like whether their natural opinion is. And it's so interesting because I want to say like 60, 70, 80% of the time it's absolutely not what we were thinking. So, as humans, we're kind of stuck with ideas often, or assumptions, and we realize this is completely wrong. Like that's not what they want, or they want something else, or whatever.
Yeah, I
So
love it. So you noticed that a few weeks ago. I can't even remember what it was. And you were like, oh, let me do a poll. And the
exactly,
poll was clear that you were wrong.
that was a big thing, right? Well, we thought, hey, maybe it's okay if like they start receiving requests to join the room even before they click on the button to open the
Uh-huh.
room. And that sounds convenient. Okay, let's try. Nope, everybody hates it. so we
That was a
so we changed.
terrible
It
idea.
was a horrible idea. So we changed the next day. We reverted, and everybody was happy again. But yeah, I see that's it.
So I think that's the cool thing again, when I think about all these teachers contributing, we've all worked for all these different companies and none of them have had a perfect platform, but all of them
Yeah.
have had really cool tools that we can all
Mm-hmm.
bring to this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so I can see that this is, it keeps getting better. I love every update. Melody has actually said a few things here. She says, I haven't seen a demo class yet. So my biggest
Oh,
concern is pro and con comparison with class in. Well,
right.
Melody, I have a video that I will post here. I'll also send you, or I'll post a link later to tell you my reasons, because that's the biggest reason. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I don't know if you were listening at the top of the video or the top of this live, but I went looking for Koala Go because I was fed up with class in. So I think though, for one, class in, you're not going to be able to use your let me be more positive. In Koala Go, you're going to be able to have your students give them access in a shared browser to click and drag elements for interactivity for your lessons, or where that's not possible in class in unless you're, oh, and you can do that on iPads. I know it's possible in class in on a computer, but not on iPads. Um, the other thing is that very soon, I don't know, Ben, keep me in line about this. At some point, hopefully very soon, teachers will also be able to use iPads to teach
Yes,
in class.
we just we have this small little thing we need to solve, which is the ability to, actually, you can already pretty much teach an iPad. The one thing that you can't do is on the whiteboard specifically, you cannot zoom in or zoom out, and that's the only thing you can't do pretty much.
Got it.
So yeah. So
Yeah.
apart from that, it's pretty much usable. Yeah.
So I'm going to guess real soon teachers will even be able to teach on iPads, and
Yeah.
it's a conversation I would see daily in VIP kid groups when I was teaching for them back in the day, because you can teach on iPads. So there are many teachers who will be able to take advantage of that. I also, Melody, I cannot stand to, because I at one point I was living in India and I then had all these different. So I was like, because I wasn't, I mean, I'd been there for a long time, but still dealing with the time zone difference of Indian time versus Chinese time versus Saudi Arabia time. I hated scheduling my classes. I hated that I had to go in and schedule every single class every single week for a student and deal with the time zones and the phone numbers to register a student in class in. Like all of that stuff is just, it's unnecessary. At Koala,
Yeah.
you give them a link, everybody shows up.
Yeah.
What were you going to say,
Well,
Ben?
and I don't know, the class in, we don't know much about them, to be honest, and I'm not going to be bashing class in because, of course, they've built a pretty impressive platform and it's used by a lot of people. So,
It is.
thing is, I mean, one thing to note is that with the growing tensions unfortunately between China and the U.S., and especially the I want to say the fact that China is closing up more and more, and Klassen being a Chinese company.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's a good bet to invest very much into Klassen.
And boy, the investment's not small.
No, it's a
Nor
heavy
is it
investment.
clear about how that all works. It's very ambiguous fees.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're a U.S. company. We're U.S. backed, funded by American VCs, and so all of our interests are on your side. If that makes sense.
Yes.
We don't have any conflicts of interest.
Yes. Well, and so there were a lot of concerns from people about the major investment 6 months ago. I think people have settled into it being safe now, but it's just in general, it's not user friendly in my experience. And it felt clunky to do everything. I was involved in a group that was using it, and the way that they had to shift things between the different, like the homework side versus the there were some things that could have been shifted, it seemed, really easily technically. I get it. The CTO's like, no, that's not always easy. But it seemed like these things at least could have been attended to, and they just weren't. So it wasn't easy to work with the company, even with an organization level platform. Like I was working with an organization level account, and Koala Go is easy. It's so user friendly. So Xavier has joined us. Do you see this?
Hi, Xav.
Yeah, hi. So here he is. It looks like his video is not here, but do you hear us, Xavier?
I do.
Hello, welcome.
Hey.
So we were just reading some comments. Let me just get these couple other. I don't charge my students a ton yet. I like that melody. And so I would just need to justify the cost. You guys want to talk about the cost a little more and how you guys are attending to that? In order to give value back to teachers?
Yeah, for sure. So we do have the reason we have a subscription or a pro package is because the services that we use, typically the shared browser, the data that we have to store at the back end, those cost us money. So if we don't charge, we die. It's that simple. So we have to have some kind of source of, recurrent income to be able to sustain this. Now we know that we're not going to be making the bulk of the money just by taking money from teachers. I mean, that's not going to happen, and we don't want that either. We know that if we're going to be building a viable business, a profitable business on these extra services that are a win-win situation, or a win-win situation with teachers, where they make money, therefore we make money. So again, the reason why we have these costs, at least the subscription model right now, is to sustain the services that we have in the back end. Does that make sense?
It does to me, but I will say that Melody did say, I think a little bit after you started that yes, I'm on the free version because I don't understand the paid version. So
I mean, the free version has a lot of features. We like everything that we were able to make free is free. Now we have other things like the shared browser. Again, that's only for pro, and there's a 2-week trial, so you can try it out for 2 weeks. And after that, of course, you need a pro package.
Is screen sharing available on the free?
So you can share your screen.
So for free, you can do anything that you could do in Zoom.
That's exactly right.
For free.
Minus the only thing that we can't do is, I'm going to be completely honest here, is we can't do computer remote control, like Zoom does. Like giving control of your student to your computer, like Zoom does. However, so that's the one thing that you can't do with the screen share.
Are they trying to duplicate? I'm sorry.
No, I was saying that that's the difference that you would see with Zoom, I guess. But we do have, of course, the shared browser, where it's a completely interactive, browser. You can go anywhere, any website that you would use, and the student can interact with it as if it was on their computer.
And for me, the interactivity is not as important as I just love the fact back to this comparison with class in. I had someone laugh at the comment that I made, but it was just my experience. I could never get the class in browser to work consistently. One day it would, one day it wouldn't. So I could not always and the screen share was clunky to get to. But yesterday in like 60 seconds, my student, she is my friend, my little friend. She was telling me about a video that she saw of a lobster, which she didn't know that word. She had to draw it, who was painting with a special pen. And so the special pen was a calligraphy pen. But in like 60 seconds, like she had gone and drawn a picture. Oh, it's a lobster. Wow. Okay, great. Taught her the word. Maybe 90 seconds, right? And then we're already in the shared browser because we're doing the lesson, because that's where I share my PowerPoints. I click to get into the shared browser. I'm there. And I'm thinking, because a few weeks ago, a student shared with me that they have a calligraphy pen that was made from their own hair as a child. So I was like, wow, she's talking about a calligraphy pen. Typed it in, She's like, yeah, teacher, that's it. So from
that's
those
so
tools, like so integrated and easy to access, like it makes classes so much easier. And I'm not even talking about the interactivity that you get in the shared browser from all of those Genial slides and all of that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. That's a super cool story, by the way. It's awesome. Yeah, no, so I don't know if that answers, if we were able to answer Wendy's question or not.
Oh, she's on the free page. She's on the free version of ClassIn because she doesn't understand the paid version.
Right. Oh yeah, because it's super complicated.
I fully get you. Yeah. Well, now we've explained the paid version of Koala Go also. Xavier, since you're just joining us, our conversation today, I know you joined us spontaneously, but is about the heart.
I was just planning to join as an audience member. But yeah.
Well, you're here. So I thought I would ask if you have anything to add to the conversation, because I shared earlier at the top of the call that when I first had a conversation with you, because I reached out to you guys about Koala Go, I immediately felt that there was a heart here, that it wasn't just someone having a business call. The way that you, the kinds of questions that you asked me and the way that you listened to my answers and then actually had further conversation. You didn't shut me down. Like, I felt welcomed as a creative person and I felt valued in that way. And so that's why this call is happening, because I just wanted to share. Well, I also did kind of share in here that I had a little experience with ClassIn and it's not just about anti-ClassIn. It's really more about the warmth and the heart that I felt here, but it was just true. In contrast, I didn't experience that there. Typically at the organization level, we had a private WhatsApp or WeChat group where we would communicate with them, and there would be a canned answer with a screenshot. This is what you do. It was so convoluted and hard. And I'm just not even someone who can follow instructions easily like that. So I was just like shut down every time. And there was no heart there. So I felt a very different thing when I met you. And can you talk about why I felt that? What your purpose is?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, one thing that I think differentiates Koala from everybody else is that we're laser focused on independent online teachers. There's more and more of you, but you don't really have one platform tailored to your needs. And that's what we're aiming for with Koala. That's the first thing. So, like, for instance, we have invoicing features, we have tools to help you engage young kids online, etc. All this is tailored for your use case. The second thing is that we believe that we are successful if you're successful. It's exactly the same fight, and if you're successful, we become successful. So we're not perfect, far from perfect, but we're really working our best to make you successful. So that's why we try to reply to your message as fast as we can, and we provide 24/7 support. We're a small team of 9 people, but we always have someone on the other end. When you're using Koala Go, you'll see a little help icon in the bottom right of your screen. Click that and ask your question, and we'll be there. One of us, sometimes it's Ben, sometimes it's me, or Fred, or Gian, or Abby, and you'll soon know everybody's name in the team. So we're here to try to help you in real time.
Yes, the help button is the best thing ever. We're all used to the fireman at our companies, and there's just something about, because we don't know, we're not technical people, we're just teachers. So there's something about that security blanket of having someone there to click and help. And in my experience, they can just seeing your message. Oh no, don't add me.
Yes.
Sorry,
You're now
Zob.
seeing it now. Okay. Yes.
Yep. A little bit late. Anyhow, that security blanket is really nice. So thank you for adding that. Ben, do you have a special guest?
Yes, we have Coco who just joined. You might have a
Hi,
couple of things to
Coco.
say about the topic.
What do you have to say about this, Coco? I'll go ahead and share George of the Jungle here.
Oh, there we go.
The other day I got really excited in class and George went falling. My student was very upset.
No, I love it. He's wearing glasses.
He is wearing glasses. He's very studious. Yep.
Nice. Super cool.
So I really appreciate you guys being with me today. Were you about to say something else, Ben?
No, I was gonna say, like, you know, every interaction that we have with tutors or teachers feels like we're interacting with a friend, a mother, you know, a colleague. So that's how we treat it. And I think that's part of the secret to our warmth, is that we feel like we're a family.
It feels that way. Thank you.
Yeah.
Melody said her cat also always visits the classroom.
I'm so glad. Yeah, another thing I'd like to add is it's actually really difficult to keep yourself grounded in reality when you're a company. Oh wait, I can't hear myself.
Do you not hear yourself anymore? I think I did that.
Okay, I'm good now. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. No, so it's just that it's actually counterintuitive and kind of very difficult to keep talking to your users as if you only had like 2 users. You know what I mean? As a company, and I'm talking from the point of view of like when you build a business in general, as you scale, it's often the case that you disconnect yourself from the real world, and you add tons of layers of people, and I think that's a mistake. And I think that the key of one of the keys of our success is that we're staying grounded.
Yeah. So back to that real quickly, even though we're about to wrap, what are you teaching and how did you start teaching? And yeah.
So like I was telling you, I been a tutor and a teacher for as long as I can remember, back in high school. But right, I'm a bit of a geek, I guess. I love STEM. I would always love STEM, and so I teach math. I've been teaching math to 2 kids, a 9-year-old, actually she's 8-year-old, and a 14-year-old. So 2 very different categories, of course, all in Koala. And I don't consider myself a tutor or a teacher by any means. Like, I don't have half the creativity, half the skills that you guys have. But like you said earlier, it's the best way to know, like, there's nothing like being a user of your own product. It's called, there's a term for this, is dog food. I don't know if you ever heard that term. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So
I want to know though.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that you in the technology world that you say, oh, when you have your own team use the product that you're building, so you're kind of eating your own dog food, I guess.
I see. Got it.
It's kind of a weird expression. I don't know what.
It is a weird expression, but I understand.
It's like so one thing that just
you think there are actual people who eat their own dog food? I'm wondering.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I mean, it's like, so we're both French, okay? I'm French, Xavier's French, and when I first came to America, I started hearing like the weirdest expressions. At work once, my boss said, "Oh, there's many ways to skin a cat." I was shocked. I was honestly shocked. I was like, why would you want to skin a cat? In many ways. What?
Make sure Coco doesn't hear this conversation.
Exactly. She's
poor thing.
Under the bed. So I do remember now. You said that you had taught before, but isn't it true, Xavier, that you did not teach before you got engaged with building Koala?
I taught a little bit. I taught a little bit in the past, but that was not my main. That was not my main focus. Yeah. But I do really enjoy it, and I
And what are
started
you teaching on the platform?
Yeah, exactly. So, because we really want to make Koala as good as possible, we really want to make it the best teaching platform in the world. So we always talk to our users all the time. But at some point we realized there's only so much you learn from talking with somebody who's teaching. We need to be teaching ourselves. That was about 6 months ago, and so we now make it mandatory for everybody in the team to teach with Koala. And I'm teaching French every Friday. I'm teaching French to a 9-year-old girl in Estonia.
That's so cool. I think it's Noah that I heard him mention teaching the other day, and I thought, oh, that's interesting, but I get now why.
So
yeah,
what's interesting about Noah is that there's many things that are interesting about Noah, but one thing that's interesting is that he speaks many, many different languages, including German, French, Spanish. I think he's learning Korean. I think he's starting to get there. Chinese, Japanese, and I know it's incredible. And he teaches German to a kid, I think it's a little boy.
Wow, people that speak languages like that.
I know, isn't it incredible? It's just
super
fascinating. Yeah.
Melody has another question about uploading documents and storage space.
Mm-hmm.
So Melody, can you be a little more clear about storage space? Because on that same conversation of storage space, I think about recordings of classes because a lot of teachers are interested in recordings, and I know that requires some storage space. So I don't know if that's what you mean, what you're looking to store, but more clarity about that. And then it sounded like Ben already had an answer ready for your original question about uploading documents and storage space. Do you have thoughts about that without more clarity?
Sorry, is that a question for me or for Melody?
For Ben.
For me, okay.
Oh, PowerPoints and PDFs.
Yeah. So for similar reasons I mentioned before, you can upload PowerPoints and PDFs if you're a pro. If not, you're limited to JPEGs and PNGs. There's already a lot you can do, by the way, but just images. But anyways, there's no limit to storage space right now. You can upload as many documents as you want. So if you want to have in your activity, in your slide deck, if you want, you can have thousands of slides, each containing thousands of images. There's no limit right now.
I didn't think about that, but it is getting stored there on the whiteboard, isn't it?
They are. We store everything. So,
So what about? I heard a conversation recently about having a place so that once you've uploaded an image, you can always access it, like a library of images.
Yeah. That's on the roadmap. Yeah, we want to have a library, not just of images, of documents in general.
Got
and
it.
not only that, but we also want to have a bunch of off-the-shelf images that you can just like a library of things, clip arts typically, or things like that we already have accessible for you. So yeah, all that is something we want to do for sure.
Very cool. Melody says cool.
With lots of O's.
Lots of O's.
Good.
I feel very connected with you on many levels today, Melody. All right, very good. It's been a pleasure to talk with you guys. I'm so glad Zob joined against his will. I'm so sorry.
I was happy to see you guys.
Very good. I was happy to see you join. Ben, thank you for coming. Is there any last words you would like to share before we say goodbye?
I mean, I just want to thank you, Angie. This was really fun, and
it was fun. Thank you.
I'd love to do it again in the future if your audience sees value in this.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you guys have any questions if you're watching it after the live, please post those questions and I can definitely share those. And if there are any other exciting topics we want to do a video about, I would love it. Remember, you can help create Koala Go. There's just a link in the description box to the Canny campaign where you can upvote any things you think are important. You can also create any other new suggestions you have. If you want to teach with Koala, there is a link in the description. And thanks so much for being here, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Angie.
Melody, you rock for all of your engagement.
Hey,
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Melody. Bye.
Bye.